For being with us, my name is Darryl Kwao. In our first story, Senior Minister Yao Osafo has hinted government will review the Heritage Fund component in the Petroleum Management Act to be able to raise funds to finance the free senior high school policy. He said the decision has become necessary because government wants to invest significant revenue generated from the oil industry to fund major sectors like education. Dr. Yao Osafo spoke with Joy Business in an interview after he made a presentation on the upcoming budget at a graphic business breakfast meeting under the theme of public-private dialogue on stability, growth and jobs.
We are going to look at the Heritage Fund. The heritage implies for the future, am I right? We want to introduce, and the President mentioned it last week, free fee education in the second cycle, that is the SS. And it is likely to be funded through the Petroleum Act. That being the case, we've got to make amendment and say that X% of the Heritage Fund or the Petroleum Fund will be used to support second cycle education. If we think that industry require a stimulus that will enable jobs to be created, and we are creating a job to build Ghana, isn't it? Is that not for the future? So you can look at it and also put a certain amount. We are looking at agriculture. So wherever it is important to support the future development of this country, particularly when you talk about the youth is the future, heritage is the youth. We would make certain relevant amendments to make sure that the economy benefits from the Petroleum Act.
The Private Enterprise Foundation also made mention that some of the taxes needs to be extended for the Private Enterprise Foundation. They are making some proposal that some of the taxes should be extended to at least 1 year before you scrap them totally. Are you going to consider that?
We consider the whole thing in the plate, certainly. They are the practitioners, isn't it? So if they make a suggestion, you have to look at it. We will look at it in our own time and see how it works out, as long as we protect the interests of Ghana. And we make sure, see, the whole purpose is to make sure that we provide the proper environment for the private sector to operate and create jobs.
Now, the country's program with the IMF is likely to be extended by 8 more months. The 3-year program, which began in April 2015, was expected to end by April 2018. But challenges in meeting program targets meant that scheduled reviews had to be pushed back, a development that would affect completion date for the program. Sources say extension is automatic and does not leave government with the option of rejecting it. Chair of Parliament's Finance Committee, Dr. Mark Esibe-Aboah, who also confirmed this to Joy Business, however, maintains this might be good for the economy.
I know the language of the fund. We are still in the program, so sometimes they try to put out these mild statements. Mind you, I'm hearing that the program is being extended to December of next year. The program originally was to end April of 18. Now, they want us to stay in the program until December of 2018. So the fund programs have their pros and cons. Okay, on the one hand, they bring discipline to economic management. They also give you some funds. If you walk away quickly, you're on your own. And for a new government trying to find its feet, it will not be a bad idea staying in a little longer in this fund program.
You're one of the people who, during your press conference, you highlighted some very critical issues about deficit and all those things, and even the IMF and all. The fund has come and gone. You've seen the statement yourself. What do you make of their comment?
Yeah.
Are you more measured right now? Or more?
No, I think I got it right, because the fund is indicating that there were some expenditures outside PFM controls. Okay, some expenditures were not captured, as we stated, and the deficit on cash basis is 9%. Now, yeah, that's exactly what we put out there, and I think there are some questions that the previous government would have to be answering.
Now, Joy Business is learning that planned 4th and 5th review to assess government's program under the IMF program, which should have taken place in April, have been put on hold for now. Moving on, now businesses and individuals should from next month be able to establish what goes into determining cost of credit. This is because the Bank of Ghana is expected to direct commercial banks to start implementing the new formula for calculating interest rates. But what has influenced this move by the regulator, and would it really help reduce cost of credit? George Raffe has more.
This new way of interest rate calculations is expected to take off after a committee tasked to review the existing procedure for the determination of base rates across banks presented its report to the Bank of Ghana. The committee has since submitted a draft report which is currently under consideration. According to the Bank of Ghana, unlike the existing framework, which is largely driven by bank-specific indicators like inflation rate, policy rate, price government is paying for funds borrowed from banks, as well as the bank's own cost of securing funds. The new methodology is forward-looking and is anchored on market-based indicators and better reflects prevailing market conditions. Some industry experts are hopeful it will help address the problem of high interest rate regime in the country and bring some transparency in the determination of interest rates. Currently, you are likely to pay about 35% as interest on your loans. Most businesses have questioned the factors that commercial banks use in determining the cost of credit in the country.
Meanwhile, there are mixed reactions towards the introduction of a new formula for calculating cost of credit. Some banking stakeholders have told Joy Business it will bring some transparency into the determination of interest rates. However, others are of the view the expected results will not be achieved. Here's another report from our George Biafe on the concerns of these bank managing directors.
According to the managing director of Barclays Bank, Patience Alchianu, her outfit is committed to this new process.
No, this is work that has been ongoing for a while, and indeed many colleagues in my business currently are part of a committee that have been put together to enable us arrive at the right computation and determination for the base rate going forward. So this is something which is not a surprise, and we are inputting very much into what will be the final outcome.
Managing Director of Ecobank, Dan Saki, says the process, if implemented, should change the way institutions price credit in the country.
We believe that they are in the process of putting together policies that will shape the future and the direction of banking. We'll take a cue from what policies will be put out there. But it's just a bit too early to pronounce on the efficacy of some of the things that they intend to do. But generally, to date, based on what we have heard or seen so far, we believe that the trend is positive and we expect good things to come. Thank you.
One of the founders of UT Bank and former boss of the institution, Prince Kofi Amoabin, says the introduction of this new formula will not really change things that much in terms of the determination of interest rates.
I think the regulator is trying to provide a level playing field so that businesses can assess credit under the same kind of formula or fairness. So they're doing their work as regulators. Now, will that deliver the desired results? Maybe, maybe not. You see, it's not just the cost of a facility which determines that you go for it. It's also about how the service is provided, how time-use it is. So typically, you find that a lot more people go to the non-banks because they can get a loan expensive, but they can get it in, say, about a week. And if you go to the banks, they go through their process and things, they probably will take 2 months and their business will not wait. So all I'm saying is that it's good for the regulator to play its role to say that, listen, I'm going to regulate cost of credit and make sure that it's transparent and it's not inimical to businesses and to their health. But the businesses will eventually have to determine where they go.
According to the Bank of Ghana, this new approach is expected to take off from next month. The new formula will be forward-looking, moving away from the current framework which is driven by bank-specific indicators.
Well, Ghana's fuel supplies are expected to face serious disruptions. That's according to the Institute of Energy Security, IAS. We are hoping to speak to Richmond Roxton, Principal Research Officer of the IAS, to throw more light on this projection. For now, I want to take a break here on Business Live. Welcome back to Business Live. We are taking you to the Western region now, where the Prestia mine is expected to resume underground operations within the next 4 months. This is coming after a 15-year shutdown during which earlier attempts to reopen it proved futile. Operators of the mine Golden Star Resources say retrofitting works are 90% complete. This is expected to boost the local economy as over 1,500 people could secure direct employment. Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, Tony Obin, stated this in an interview with Joy Business.
We are very happy about the progress at Prestea Golden Star Resources after quite some time and serious focus on the Prestea underground project. We are hopeful that before the end of this year, this project will come into account, and so we're waiting eagerly to see the Prestea mine started, maybe sometime within the year. Government is willing to support them in any way possible to revive the mine. It is already at the level where I am sure that before the end of the year they would have started mining. Don't forget that Golden Star Resources is already mining. They've already started their underground mine at the Wassa mine. So a lot of exciting times ahead.
Exactly what's in place now? Is it about they bringing in some equipment or they recruiting some specialists? What really are they doing?
They've brought in most of the equipment. They've done most of the development of the mine. They've gone underground, they've developed, they've actually installed new shafts and all that. So seriously, they are far advanced. I think they've even started some minor recruitment of staff and all that. So I think they are far advanced, and the Minerals Commission is supporting them to get this thing off the final drawing table because of the implications for the country. People will be employed, and which is very important on the agenda of this government. We also see some revenues also coming to the table and all that. So we can't wait.
We have an idea how many they may be employing and perhaps how much revenue they could be bringing in.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to say this off the top of my head now, but I believe that I think in one of their mines they're looking at bringing 160,000 ounces a year or so, which is significant for us. Yeah.
In other news tonight, an 11-member committee has been inaugurated by the Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture to oversee the allocation, distribution and sale of premix fuel to fishermen. There have been some concerns over the increase in the number of premix fuel sale points run by middlemen, a development that has consistently led to acute shortage and high cost of premix to fuel. But Sector Minister Elizabeth Afulikwe says the committee will review all existing premix fuel sale points and determine pricing of the product in consultation with the National Petroleum Authority. There's more in this report.
The 11-member committee constitutes key representatives from the Fisheries Commission, oil marketing companies, the Navy, among others. Sector Minister Elizabeth Afulikwe says the committee will ensure Ghana's fisherfolk are the sole beneficiaries of premix. The minister also touched on the sale of premix fuel at unapproved prices by some middlemen to fishermen. This she hoped will be stopped once the committee completes its tenure. In 2016, government reassessed the critical role fishing plays in the economy. The regulation of premix sale, distribution and pricing is handled by the National Premix Fuel Committee.
All right, and as we've been telling you, there is an imminent fuel shortage. We want to get some more perspective on this from a rep from the Institute of Energy Security, I believe, Richmond Roxon. He joins us on the line. Good afternoon to you. You are making a projection of an imminent fuel shortage. Why are you making that projection?
Good afternoon to you and your viewers as well. Basically, what we are saying is really simple. Every month, our average consumption has been 270,000 metric tons. As we speak today, the total finished product that we have is way less than that. At both installations, you're looking at about 86,000 metric tons. And when I take the BDC as well, you're looking at about 24,000. So on the average, we have just a little over 100,000 metric tons. And if in a month we are looking at 270,000 and we have a little over 100,000, what it means is that we are looking at just about 2 weeks. That is what we have, 2 weeks supply. But this country is supposed to have at least 6 weeks supply at all material points in time. And what we've been monitoring over the period is that it keeps dwindling. And if nothing is done about it, it is likely that in the next 2 weeks there will be shortage of fuel in the market.
Okay, how much of this has got to do with the recent challenges faced by the Tema oil refinery?
It plays a crucial role. We all know that the Tema oil refinery is a very strategic asset in Ghana being fuel being secure when it comes to fuel. The refinery was doing about 45,000 barrels a day, and now it's around 28,000. And that was after the furnace broke down, or the explosion that we had. The sad aspect is that even the 28,000 that today the refinery has the capacity to do, we cannot do the 28,000 because the RFCC is also undergoing maintenance. And we had shut down already for 9 days, and it's going to be shut down for about 8 weeks for minor maintenance as well. So as we speak, we cannot confidently say that, okay, the refinery will be working next week or 2 weeks. We are looking at about 2 months out. That is what we are looking at when it comes to refinery. At this point in time, if we all remember, us took possession of crude from the 10 field, about 1 million barrels from that side, and they also imported crude oil as well. That's about 2 million. 2 million barrels of crude sit in tank at all. That was waiting to be refined until the unfortunate incident happened. So what it means is that we are not refining crude, and it's affecting the inputs that TOR would have made on the market as well. The other challenge is that we don't have enough storage facilities. So the 2 million that is sitting in tanks that we could have used as storage facilities is sitting there, whilst we don't have enough space to keep some of the stuff that we would need.
I was going to ask you about our fuel storage. You are just mentioning that we don't have enough, but we also have companies importing fuel. Isn't that going to suffice?
The thing is that most of these private companies do not have their own terminal. It is a rule, it is a policy of the NPA that when you come into operation as a BDC, in about 3 years, you should have your own storage facility. Most of them don't have, about 80 to 90% don't have. And they all count on the national installations to keep their finished product. That is the challenge that we have. So this challenge is multifaceted. Aside from, we are looking at the crude aspect. We also have a challenge when it comes to the discharge of vessels as well, together with the laycan. MPA, well, laycan is basically like a timetable. Every vessel should have a time that it's going to discharge. And this laycan we've had challenges with the laycan because sometimes the MPA is unfair with the time that the vessels will need. For instance, every vessel is given about 3 days to discharge. LPG alone, when you are discharging about 5,000, it will take you about 4 days. It won't take you less than 4 days to do it. So if you give a vessel 3 days to do this, and the vessel comes to dock, at the end of the day, the vessel will be able to do it, discharge. And this alone will create challenges for the subsequent vessels that are offshore to do it, discharge.
All right.
So these problems are multifaceted, and we are calling on the state institutions, the energy minister, the government, that we should first call on BOST. BOST should show up. It should come with the specific mandate that it has. It should live up to it. It should come in with finished product so that at the end of the day, we won't have this problem coming up.
Okay. Now, when we hear about shortage, we become concerned about the price of fuel. Do you think that it's going to affect the pricing of fuel going forward?
It is possible. It is possible because, as we know, if we don't have enough supply and the demand outweighs the supply, what it means is that prices definitely will go up. This is the deregulated regime we are talking about. So in a deregulated regime, if you don't have enough fuel, at the end of the day, those who have are going to do it, are going to sell it at a higher price. And that is why we are calling on government that we shouldn't let this happen. The last time this happened was in June 2014, and we shouldn't let this thing happen again. That's why we are being alerted to the general public and the government. It's not to cause fear and panic. It's just for the appropriate authorities to respond so that we won't have all the effects that is associated with fuel shortage.
Thanks for your time. That was Principal Research Officer at the Institute for Energy Supply, Richmond Roxon, speaking to us there about an imminent shortage in the supply of fuel. You're still watching Business Live. Moving on to our interview of the day, and Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo has downplayed the session's major tax cuts by government will result in creating financial loopholes in government revenue. He maintained government will look out for different ways of generating revenue in order not to put too much stress on taxpayers. He reiterated the 2017 budget will abolish some taxes, including the special import levy, 5% tax on real estate, as well as reduce the 17.5% VAT on small and micro businesses to a flat rate of 3%.
We are not going to cut any tax that will be detrimental to the economy. We are looking at the figures in terms of revenue generation and reducing them accordingly.
But some are also saying that it will create loopholes in government treasury because most of them give us money and now we are going to cut them out.
We don't talk about loopholes in this from the tax angle. When you take off a tax, you lose revenue, but it may end up also promoting the generation of more revenue because of the facilitation of production. So we can't always say that because you have removed a particular tax, you are going to reduce revenue. At the end of the day, you may facilitate production and you may end up making more money.
And that's our show tonight. My name is Darrell Kwao. Thanks for watching. Of course, there is more business news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Have a good evening.